Sorry, man. A little late. I was downstairs watching TV and Shawshank Redemption came on, and I could not pull myself away from it. You know what? It got me thinking, maybe we should do an episode on movies like Shawshank, where when they show up on TV, you got to sit down and watch them no matter what. What do you think?
I think that is an excellent idea.
Man, I should get an Oscar for that performance.
I wish this is one of the very few times I wished this was a video podcast. Because for the listener, in order to prepare for that cold open, Chris had to leave the room and run in because he's very much a method actor. So he had to actually come from somewhere else.
I did.
This is our Shawshank episode, man. This is one I've been looking forward to and talking about for a while.
This is one where I can hang with you, but I think you're definitely more of uh, you find the time to watch movies, so therefore you find the time to sit down when something like Shawshank comes on. But it
Yeah.
was it was fun going through and figuring out those movies because I think at one point I texted you yesterday and I'm like, I'm down to 12 movies. I'm working on it. And then like 2 minutes later, I was up to 13. I almost messaged you. I'm like, I'll figure it out. So
Yeah, I'm definitely a rewatcher of movies. That's clear to anyone who's ever listened to almost any of our episodes, probably. And I know you don't watch film as much as I do, but I think this is a category that everybody has at least a handful of movies that they consider to be those kind of rewatchable films. Had you heard the term Shawshank before I brought it up?
no, I don't think so. And in fact, I looked it up. Did you invent that term or is that a
I
known
did
term?
not.
Okay, that's the
Uh,
thing. All right.
And yeah, and I was actually, as you said, you looked it up. I thought maybe I should find out who invented it because I can't even remember where I first heard people talk about something or being Shawshanked. I would hear the term, and it must have been, I assume it was in a podcast or something like that. But I'm actually looking right now to see if I can find anything online as to where it started, but I don't see it. So somewhere along the line, it's actually apparently it's in the Urban Dictionary now as the condition of having been sucked in by a highly watchable movie while channel surfing, which is perfect definition. That's exactly what I was thinking of when I used the term when we first talked about it. Somebody created it, but I don't know who. It is definitely something that I go through on a regular basis, though. So I thought it'd be fun to rank our top five Shawshank films.
We can do it.
Ooh,
I've whittled it down from 13 to 5.
sweet.
And since we spoke this morning when you were stuck at a tire shop getting your flat tire fixed, I revised my list. So you think you know what it is, but you don't.
Ah, you are sneaky. I actually revised my list as well a couple times over the last couple days. But let me ask a couple questions first of all.
Yep.
Do you find that you're Shawshank by a particular genre of film? Is there a certain type that will draw you in that way? Where, and yeah, again, just to kind of elaborate a little bit, to me, a movie that Shawshanks you is one where you walk in the room and it's on TV. This for me usually happens like on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon, and there's a movie on, and you're like, oh hey, and you sit down, and then the next thing you know, the movie credits are rolling, and you've watched whatever was left of that particular movie. So my question is do you find that happens with you with one specific genre or type of movie or anything?
I think even though my list has a couple that deviate from this answer I'm about to give, I think it tends to be comedy and sort of feel good type of movies, particularly comedy. As I look through, we'll get to some of the other ones, but I think you're more Pulp Fiction like and badass type movies, maybe. I don't know.
No,
Or
actually,
am I
when I looked
wrong?
at my top five, my long list was had Pulp Fiction on it specifically,
Yep.
and had some dramas and some kind of crazy indie things. But when I narrowed it down and thought about things, as I look at my list, out of my five, I think four of them probably would be categorized as comedies as well.
Okay.
And I think that makes sense when you talk about being Shawshank, because to me, that's the concept of wherever the movie is, you start there and you just
Yeah.
sit down and you watch it. So it might be three-quarters of the way through, it might have just started, or it could be halfway or whatever. But I think that's easier to do with a comedy than maybe
Yeah.
with dramatic movies. I actually was trying to think of other kind of subcategories of Shawshank stuff. Like, for example, are there movies where you will watch just a specific scene and then stop? Like if you walk in and that scene's on, you're going to watch it, but you're not necessarily going to sit down and watch it all the way through. Because I have a couple of those I wanted to talk about. And I didn't know if you had any films like that. For me, those tend to be not comedies. They're ones where you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that fucking scene is so great. For example, one film that I think a lot of people like and like to, it may be Shawshank for them, is The Town, the movie with Ben Affleck,
Mm. Yeah.
which is the the heist movie, the bank robber movie set in Boston. There's a scene in that movie where it's toward the end of the movie, and the FBI is they've turned Ben Affleck's character's girlfriend Claire and had her call him because they want to try to bring him in so they can arrest him. And during that phone call, she gives him a tip that they're there, so he doesn't show up. And they're waiting and waiting, and what's his name? John Hamm is the FBI agent, and he's standing at the window, and he looks over at Claire, and he realizes that she just played him, and it's such a great scene because he goes, we're a national organization, right, Claire? And I could just watch that film, like that little 3 minutes part of that scene. I don't have to watch the whole movie, although that movie is worth rewatching for sure. Do you have any of those where there's just a scene that you'll actually sit down and watch it all the way through?
Yeah, I think, and as you were talking, I wrote it down. So I'm up to 15 on my list.
See, you see what it
Um,
feels like?
yeah. But for me, and I thought about including this movie, but I don't often sit down and watch the whole thing. But one of my all-time favorites and one of the great scenes is from Raging Bull, where he fights. I'm not gonna remember the boxer's name, but he's prepping for a fight, and his wife or girlfriend at the time, I don't remember, says he's a good-looking fighter. And De Niro's character, Jake LaMotta, is
Yeah.
like, "What do you mean good looking?" And he's all jealous. And they cut to the fight, and he just beats the shit out of that guy. And I guess it was his brother. Is his brother? Is it shit? What's his name? It'll come to me in a second. Afterwards, he's like, he ain't pretty no more. And it was just
Yeah.
a,
Oh,
it was such a brutal scene. But I can't tell you how many times I like, it's often those scenes where I'll repeat lines from.
right.
And that one has that setup of, and again, the movie's hard to watch. LaMotta does an amazing, De Niro
Yeah.
does
See
an
how good he
amazing
is?
job of playing. Yeah. And it's hard to watch, but great. And that's one of those scenes where I can almost picture it. So watching it again doesn't add a whole lot, but I just love watching it. Or another one, even from that movie too, is when he gets his ass kicked by Sugar Ray Robinson, and he comes over to him like he can barely walk across the ring, and he's like, "Hey Ray, you never knocked me,"
Yeah,
whatever. It's
yeah.
like I never went down or whatever it was. And there's the scenes where he's holding onto the ropes, just desperately trying not to fall down, and just getting destroyed. And the actor that played Sugar Ray Robinson looks at him like, "Dude, you're fucking crazy."
He's crazy. Yeah, that's the one I thought you were going to say when you said that movie, Raging Bull, because I know you love that scene. Though those fight scenes are so brutal that they aren't rewatchable for me because they really are. Like they
Yeah.
really, really get at you. Um, I have one that my family makes fun of me because I have a movie where I don't even need to see it on TV. Every once in a while, it'll just cross my mind, or somehow I'll think about the movie Baby Driver,
Mm.
which is one of my favorite movies of like the last 10 or 12 years. And I own that movie. I'll pull it up. I will watch the opening credits and the opening heist scene and chase, which is all set to music, and everything that happens is synced up with the music that goes on. I'll watch it from there all the way to the end where they get away and then they cut immediately to a different song, and the lead character is picking up coffee for everybody. And I'll watch through his delivery of the coffee to the rest of the guys in the gang. Then I'll turn the movie off and I'll walk away. It's like a total of probably about 7 or 8 minutes, those two kind of scenes together. And I love them. And I mean, it's Baby Driver was on my long list of actual Shawshank films because I'll watch that anyway. But I have literally started that movie, watched the first 10 minutes, and then turned it off and been completely happy with my entertainment for the day. And then the other kind of pseudo Shawshank movie, which I don't think falls in the category, certainly doesn't fall in the definition we talked about, were movies that if they're on, will you rewind them all the way to the beginning and start watching them from the beginning? Those are the movies that tend to be the dramas. Like for me,
Yeah.
if I walk in and Pulp Fiction is on, first of all, if it's on like TNT or something like that, I'll go get my copy of it. And I'll literally just like pop in a Blu-ray or I think I might have that. You can find that one streaming digitally. But I'll instead of starting where I caught it when I walked in the room, I'll start it from the very beginning and then watch the whole movie. Like it'll just kill an afternoon if that happens. And that movie's like that. There's a movie called Edge of Tomorrow, the Tom Cruise time
Hmm.
travel movie. Uh, Eventually I think they changed the name to Live Die Repeat. I really enjoy that movie. I think he's really good at sci-fi stuff. Tom Cruise is, and that's a really cool, weird time travel type of thing. Same thing though. I own it, and I'll just go and start it from the beginning. And then the final example I have of that kind of movie is a movie that was on. I want to say it's on Netflix. It's on a streaming service. I don't think it was ever in the theater. It's called Palm Springs with Andy Samberg.
Hmm.
That is kind of a comedy, but it's also like a Groundhog Day movie. And that is one of those movies that, like I said, I'll come in the middle and I'll think, you know what? I want to see this from the beginning, and I'll just rewind it. And that's like a shorter comedy type flick. And I don't know that those are technically Shawshank type films because of that. But those were the other categories I thought of when I was thinking about doing this episode. I don't know. Do you?
And
How about you? You got any of those?
I do two quick ones, and then I'm going to revisit the whole idea of picking up in a different place. The easy one for me is Usual Suspects. I mean, it's all about the twist and how they build it up. So if that one's on, I will tend to go back to the beginning. I own it as well. And then another one, and I don't know if I just have some questionable taste because I know there's some. It's
I will tell you, you do.
but Leon the Professional.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's a
I
good movie.
love that movie, and I know there's some weirdness in it, but I don't think it ever crosses the line, and I think it ends up being a fairly not wholesome may not be the right word, but I think it's a healthy relationship in the end, even though he's training her to be a killer machine. I love that one, and I think you almost have to. There's so many great scenes in that,
Hmm.
including I'm doing terrible at remembering people's names. Who's the crazy ass cop in that one? He's into drugs and he is just whacked out. But he has some scenes where he is fantastic. We're doing an immediate, so you can get there first.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, yeah. And Gary Oldman was at one point one of my favorite actors, so that
Yeah.
plays. But so that's it. The other one, and I ended up changing my list, and you're probably not going to be disappointed. But and I was just talking about this movie the other day. Movies like Toy Story,
Hmm.
which are certainly kids' movies. But what I love about being able to pick those up in the middle is the that you can pick up on the some of the humor because it's they do such a great job of appealing to kids and appealing to adults. And the idea of sort of picking it up out of context without watching the whole thing sometimes it makes you notice certain lines and appreciate the humor even more. So those are the types of movies that I really enjoy Shawshanking because you can get even more out of them because sometimes it's pretty subtle and the idea of not watching it from the beginning sort of makes you pay attention to what's actually happening when you pick it up when you're Shawshanking it. So
Yeah. I think the other thing though about those kind of movies is, and I'm sure you're the exact same way. We've also seen those movies a million times in the background, right? Because
yeah.
you'd put those on if you wanted to shut the kids up for a little bit. So you're used to only getting part of it, or in my case, there's lots of movies that I've probably only seen once or twice, but I've heard as it was playing in the back of a minivan like 20 times on long trips and stuff. And I think all the Toy Story movies are kind of like that for me.
You got a top five Shawshank list?
I do. I do. I will start out our top five list. And this was part of my rethinking it over the last 24 hours. This movie originally was one of those that I thought about in terms of restarting it when I see it playing. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I can and do just sit down if it's on the TV. And that is the movie Raising Arizona, the Coen
Yep.
Brothers movie, Raising Arizona. And that movie, I mean, so many of their movies are great, but that's my favorite Coen Brothers movie. It remains my favorite, even though they continue to and have continued to put out great stuff. But it is the one that maybe just because I've seen it the most, but it is the one where I can start in the middle at any stage of that and A, want to finish it, but B, not necessarily have to rewind because I know everything else that happened before whatever scene it happens to be. So my number five movie is Raising Arizona.
Oh, you might hear that one again on on my list.
Well, and we didn't bring it up, I probably should say, but we will post our top five list, including all ties, and I think there may be a few ties. But we will post that list on thirdsonginpodcast.com. And we welcome any comments, disagreements, discussions of our top five or your own top five. And you can send those to us at thirdsongin@gmail.com.
All right. I was a little torn, and I'm going to say this. We got something good out of you having a flat tire this morning.
Good.
Because I'm gonna throw you a softball. But after talking this morning, it wasn't on my original list, and my original list had Princess Bride at number five. I have dropped Princess Bride off the list, and I'm going with Gladiator as my
Ah,
number five movie. Again, it's not a comedy, but there's something about the epic nature of it. It's it's like a sports movie that I know that we both love. Like, I know he dies in the end, but he is victorious and
yeah.
fights through all kinds of shit. And it's one of, my God, dude, seriously, what is his damn name?
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Oh my
Jesus,
God.
I haven't even hit my 60th and I haven't remembered a single actor's name except for De Niro and I called him Jake LaMotta. Um, Russell Crowe, I think it's one of his best acting
Oh yeah.
performances and everything about it. And I don't need to go back because I've seen it so many times.
Hmm.
So, and I think there may be a connection to you for Gladiator. Didn't your kids
Oh
saw
yes.
this?
Yeah, that's right. We were just talking about this. Speaking of not remembering things, yes, my boys' high school soccer coach loved that movie and played that for them, or at least scenes from it, like before one of their big playoff games to get them psyched. I don't think it worked, by the way. All right, my number four is I think a classic, and it's probably a lot of people's Shawshank right now because I think it streams all the time. I think it's on HBO, like on a loop, and that's the movie The Martian
Oh yeah.
with Matt Damon. I love that movie. I think it's really really fun, and I just again, it doesn't matter wherever if I walk down the hall past the TV and all of a sudden that's on, then I've lost the next anywhere from 2 hours to 10 minutes, depending on where it is in the film. I think it's really well done. Side note on that is the Hail Mary project is out now. Uh, doesn't have Matt Damon in it, but it is another sci-fi movie, but really hard science based, and it is based on a novel by the same guy, Andy Weir, who wrote The Martian. It's excellent, by the way. I love that movie. And that's a future Shawshank for me, is my guess. But my number four pick is The Martian.
Not seen it,
Not seen
but
The Martian?
I've not seen The Martian, and
Oh,
it was originally the next book that I'm reading, but now it's the next book I'm reading is Project
yeah.
Hail Mary. I'll explain what the next book I'm reading is a little bit later in the episode. So my number four is one of these classic comedies that I talked about, and it seems kind of fitting for something you go back to and watch over and over and over again. It's Bill Murray's Groundhog Day. I love
Hmm.
that movie. It's hilarious. So many parts of it are funny. It doesn't matter where I pick up, and so that exemplifies my type of Shawshank.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's it's an excellent movie. That's one of my, it might be one of my top 10 movies all time. It didn't make my list, but I can certainly see that being one of those kind of films. My number three Shawshank movie is the movie Outside Providence,
Hmm.
which is a kind of a coming of age film set in Rhode Island back in, I want to say it's the late 70s. And it's just this kid gets in trouble, has to go to private school to get away from all the bad influences. And the influences are worse at the private school, of course. It is outstanding. It is probably one of my top 20 movies all time, I would guess. But it is definitely one of those that if it's playing, and there was a stretch where it was playing on like HBO or Showtime or that kind of thing, and I would sit down and I would watch it. I'd watch parts of it probably 3 or 4 times in a week or so, just because it was playing on a loop. I think it's out of that loop now, so now you actually have to consciously go pull it up. But I'd recommend it because it is one of those where just tons of funny scenes, and it doesn't really matter where you pick up on that one and start watching it.
Hmm.
Well, what's your number three?
Well, my number three is I'm sticking with it. So as everyone knows, for a show called Third Song In, I probably give an inordinate amount of importance to the number three. So I put one of my favorite movies of all time, number three. It's Blade Runner.
Ah,
Um, I own it. I own multiple versions of it. It doesn't matter if it's on TV. I stop and I watch it. Just, it's probably my favorite movie of all time.
is it really?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't know. Science fiction, like a really, really well done science fiction, either book or movie, hit me all the time. And I think this is one of the better. I mean, there are probably, better ones, but the character, the way that Harrison Ford plays Deckard, Rutger Hauer, I blanked
Yeah,
on his name
yeah,
because I was thinking of his character's name, Roy Batty. He is amazing. That's a scene. If I actually the Tears in the Rain scene where he's
yeah,
dying
yeah.
is one scene that I could watch over and over. And with YouTube, I think I have watched it over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just uh, so there's a lot about that movie. And then sort of the vague ending, leaving open, possibilities. Some people don't like that. I do. So, and as we think, the reason I'm stumbling a little bit is you made me think about another movie that I could have easily added to the list. I'm now trying to figure out how I can get it on there, but there's no way I can drop Blade Runner. So Blade Runner is my number
Well,
three.
yeah, that is such an outstanding movie. I don't think of it as a Shawshank movie, but it has got to be one of the best sci-fi movies ever made. I don't think we've done top five sci-fi movies yet. I think we did TV, if I'm not
I think we did
mistaken.
TV, yeah. So we
But
might have to come back to that one.
I do. I'm with you. I get it. I see how that one would get you every time, and I think that's a really good choice. Plus, it's like Sean Young is in that movie. Daryl Hannah is in
Yes,
that movie. There's just such a very young Admiral Adama. Edward James Olmos is in that flick.
yes.
I do very much like that one. Have you seen the sequel?
I have. I've seen it a couple times actually.
Yeah, it's good, right? I like
That was
that
good.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
I felt like it was a good companion, like a good follow-up to that. I thought it was well done. What's his name? Actually, he's in Project Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary. Yeah,
Ryan Gosling is a
yeah.
is a good. He does a great job in that too. I mean, he's not necessarily a Deckard, but that's a good choice. I like that. I didn't think about Blade Runner. That takes me to number two. This is a movie that I can't get enough of, and it is or has been on a loop on certain streamers and premium channels, and that's the comedy Tag, the movie Tag.
Hmm.
It is such a great movie. It has so many funny scenes. It's really an ensemble film, and it's based upon a real life story of these friends who grew up playing tag together, grew up together, and they continued to play a game of tag once a year for, I want to say it was like for a week every year, and they would they would get together and play tag. They would dress up in costumes so they could tag other guys, and it's really funny. At the very end of the film, you see there's a stinger that shows the actual guys and some video of them, catching each other. One guy dressed like as an old lady with a walker, and then he reaches out and tags him. There's just a ton of that stuff. But the cast of the film is awesome because it's John Hamm again, Jeremy Renner, Ed Helms, Jake Johnson, who's one of my favorite comic actors. Isla Fisher is hilarious in it. It's just a really funny movie, and there's so many funny ensemble scenes that, as I said, if it's on, I'm sitting down and finishing it just because I know I'm gonna laugh, even though I've probably seen the movie 4 or 5 times. It's an R-rated comedy that I took the boys to when they were like 11, and we waited until Dawn went out of town on business because I promised them I would take them to the movie. So I was like, hey, mom's gonna be out of town this weekend. I'll take you, on Saturday. So that was the movie I snuck them out to, and I think they still love that movie as well. But it's just really really funny, and I think for episode spotlight for this episode, I think I have a great scene from Tag that I may throw up for. That's just a really really funny scene between John Hamm and Jake Johnson. So that is my number two pick is the movie Tag.
All right. I've never seen that movie. I don't know how I've not. And I hadn't even heard of it when you said it,
Is
which
that
is
right? Because
crazy.
I thought we had talked about it in an earlier episode somewhere along the line. You would love that movie. You would. There was one other guy. There's another guy in the cast who I'm forgetting. Oh, Hannibal Buress, the
Yeah,
stand-up.
I was looking at the movie and I was looking
He
at the
is
cast.
so he's got such a weird. He's got a kind of a funky personality anyway. I think he's a really funny stand-up. But the character he plays is just it's so funny to watch him interact with everybody else. Uh, and Jake Johnson's the same way. He plays kind of a stoner. And dude, I can't believe you haven't seen it. And you should immediately go find that movie. I think it's streaming on Netflix right now, so you should go get Shawshank by that film this week, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I think that one I think I can do. And it made me think of like a whole nother slew of movies I could have included, like Wedding
Yeah,
Crashers.
right, exactly.
Um,
It's kind of like that, those kind of movies, those ensembles that are just joke a minute kind of
right.
things.
All right, I figured out a way to get the movie I wanted into my top five. Since you already talked about Raising Arizona, which was my number two, I'm gonna drop it out.
Oh no, that was definitely going to be number one on our top five
I
with
know.
our intricate scoring list.
It's a great one. I just have another movie that I wanted to include because you made me think about it. And I've talked about it in a previous episode, which I made me pause to not include it. But Family Man, Nicolas Cage, Tia Leone.
Oh
I
yeah, yeah,
I can
actually, you talked
watch
about
that
that.
movie. Yeah, I can watch that movie, and I will watch that movie anytime it's on TV. And it's one of those that is on fairly regularly, even on regular TV. It's funny. It's Nicolas Cage. I don't think we've included him in any, but he certainly should be on a list of Shawshank, just the way he's a generally a pretty memorable character. And Don Cheadle's great in this too. Jeremy Piven's in it. It's a cool concept. I mean, it's been done 1,000 times, people going back in time and having another chance. But it's also funny as hell, and especially as he's talking to his daughter about she's trying to change the diaper of his baby son, and the daughter's like, "You're not my dad, are you?" He's like, "No, I'm not." And he's just explaining to her, he's this rich guy, and it's just there's just some really touching and funny scenes. So I'm going with Family Man, even though I've talked about it in a previous show, but I feel like it deserves its Shawshank recognition.
All right, cool, fair enough. I think you've now ensured we have yet another top five list that's 10 movies or 10
It's
things.
possible, and depending on what you go with for number one.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to pick this one only because I've talked about the movie and I think you may have said you haven't seen it, but it's been around for a long time. It's an older film, like 10 or 20 years old at this point. And that's the movie Empire Records. Uh,
Yes.
Empire Records is another one of those that's, I think it's frequently on like the TNTs or the, you know, those basic cable type channels. And it's definitely my, as of right now, and this list, of course, changes from time to time, but right now it's my number one Shawshank because, again, it can be right at the beginning and I'll enjoy watching all the way through for whatever, an hour and a half, hour 40. But on the other hand, if I get there with 20 minutes left, I'm still going to sit down and watch the final 20 minutes. I know pretty much all of the scenes by heart. I think it was really well done. It's basically a music film as well, and it's just really funny.
My number one, which I don't know, there's something you said when we were chatting this morning about your flat tire, uh, got me thinking, and I was like, it would have been number one all along is Bull Durham.
Oh
It's,
yeah, yeah, I see that.
yeah, it's about baseball. As it turns out, it's about the Durham Bulls, who I probably go to two or three games a year now. Love the experience. My kids have always loved the experience. And Kevin Costner and Tim Robbins. Just a great movie. Great lines all the way through. The whole idea of the unfairness of someone who's dedicated their whole life doesn't quite have the that skill to take you to the next level. It's just so much about sports. And, we see it these days, with the superstars who it all comes together. And then the others who, have that work ethic, they just are missing, tiny bit of talent to take them to the next level, which is pretty much what Crash Davis's character was about. So it's one of my favorites of all time. And I will have a quote from it a little bit later on. So,
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that pick. I know that's a favorite movie of yours, and I definitely agree that that's a Shawshank film. Didn't make my list, but only because I didn't really think about it.
well,
Uh,
you also hate football or baseball. So,
I do. Although, as I've said before, weirdly, like baseball movies. So I do enjoy that film, and I do agree that that's a Shawshank movie if there ever was one. So, as usual, I had some honorable mention films in my Shawshank list, although I got to talk about most of them when we were talking about just watching scenes or rewinding movie to the very beginning. But one of the Shawshank films I wanted to talk about is not mine, but my wife Dawn's. And I just wondered if you have a similar relationship to this series of movies or any film, I guess. If there, I don't know if you've noticed on basically on network and basic cable TV, almost every weekend of the year, there is a Harry Potter marathon going somewhere. Starting at like 10 a.m. of every Saturday. It seems like every weekend. It starts with the very first one and it'll go all the way to the very end. And my wife will watch them all practically every week. It is the craziest thing. She cannot tear herself away from a Harry Potter movie. It's the funniest thing. She won't realize it's on. And then, like I said, she'll be upstairs, like, I don't know, folding laundry or doing something. And she'll flick through the channels and it'll come on. And I'll be like, all right, well, we've lost her for the rest of the day. I don't know if your family has any like that, where you just kind of, you're not going to see them for the rest of the weekend.
no, not movies. I mean, I think I did see in the Urban Dictionary definition, or in at least the summary from AI, that Modern Family is a show that
Uh,
has become a Shawshank type of series. That one,
yeah,
if it's on, and then I guess the other one would be Friends. My wife
yeah.
has seen every episode of Friends. If it's on, she's watching it.
Yeah, those are good examples. They're not films, obviously, but it's the same concept. And actually, Dawn has a couple of those kind of shows as well that I won't get her back if they come on while she's around.
And Harry Potter is funny. It's come up a lot lately. In fact, I was playing a game of trivia, and the last question was a Harry Potter one. I'm like, I have no fucking
Oh,
clue
really?
and no fucking chance. So I had friends who read all the books to their kids. Like,
Yeah,
not only read all the books, but read them to their kids, that's an effort. Because I mean, those are like, 500, 600 page books, I think. I mean, they're
that
pretty
was me.
hefty. and Ken and Teresa did it. That
Yep.
was, and I I never read them. I never read them to my kids. We didn't. I think I may have seen the first movie, but I've not seen any of the other movies. So there's
Oh,
very,
wow.
very little connection to Harry Potter, at least in this family. So
Yeah, mine was through my daughter. I started out reading the first couple novels, and as she was growing up, Rowling was still writing those books. They were coming
yeah,
out at the time. So I think by the time I got through, maybe not even entirely through the second book, Anna was reading them herself, but I kept on. So once she was done, I would read them. And of course, we went to all of the movies. We saw, I think, all of them in the theater, and now I see all of them every week of the year. It seems like, but. That was a huge deal for her, and that's how I got sucked into all of that. But it's just so funny to me, first of all, that they're on so often, and secondly, that my wife she can't leave the room if they're on. It's really funny.
that is.
So that's our list, our top five. Our third song in top five is going to be five ties at each one at each level. We didn't overlap at all. The list will be posted under, as mentioned, on thirdsonginpodcast.com. So look for it there. And as I said before, please contact us. Let us know what your list is. Tell us what you agree with, disagree with. Give us your ideas about the best movies that just suck you in and you can't escape until the final credits roll.
All right. That is going to take us to the next segment of the show, which is Loft of Wisdom.
You better open up your eyes, babe, because fools do get wise.
Loft of Wisdom is quotes. Chris and I would like to tell you a quote that we think is funny or interesting or somehow important. And not only will we tell you this on this episode, then we will post it also on thirdsonginpodcast.com. What is your quote for the Loft of Wisdom this week?
Well, I said I'd have a quote from Bull Durham, and I do. I went with the rose goes in the front, big guy, which is Crash Davis to Nuke when he walks in on him with the
Garter
women or
belt.
the garter belt, which is
Yes.
supposed to help restore his balance or whatever it is. And it's just it exemplifies the humor in the movie. Crash Davis is hilarious. And I love the developing relationship between those two. In the end, he takes him under his wing, even if that includes, wanting to punch him many, many times throughout. It's a great buddies movie made
Yeah,
in a sports setting. So, and that's one of
that's
my favorite lines.
that's a great line. It's just thinking about it when you listed it as your Shawshank movie. I forgot about that quote. That's very funny. So my quote is coming directly from The Shawshank Redemption, the movie that kind of started it all. It is it's a great quote. It's probably a little cliche at this point. People use it all the time, but the character Red, Morgan Freeman's character from Shawshank, at the end of the film, he says, "You got to get busy living or get busy dying." And I feel like that's just a good quote to live your life by. And sometimes it's hard to remember.
I agree. I like it. Good way to tie it all together, my friend.
Next up is post facto.
It's a mistake. It's a mistake.
Yeah, post factos where Tom and I will correct mistakes we made in previous episodes or add additional context, finish sentences or thoughts that we should have finished before. And this one is in real time. Tom and I just got a text from our buddy Joe Pay, and on a previous episode, so this is going to be pretty far back, in our top five or our season finale of season 11, we did the top five John Cusack movies. Joe Pay just watched it, listened to it, and said he was surprised that we had included Better Off Dead, which I think I included. And now I've included a couple movies which have maybe some questionable stuff in them here. But and Joe Pay's right. I didn't remember that Ricky was played by Dan Schneider, who's had some really ugly allegations during his time when he worked at Nickelodeon,
Oh, I
both
did not
in
know that.
just creating a toxic environment, possibly sexualizing young actresses, just really, really not cool stuff. So we talked a long, long time ago about people you love to hate. I think he's become one of those people. I don't know the truth, but there's enough smoke around his behavior. But we weren't celebrating him. We were celebrating
Yeah.
Cusack. It's not an excuse, but I do at least want to point out, reminding us that he was in that show. So that's my post facto. His actions were despicable uh, throughout a good portion of his career, it seems like.
And our next segment is staff picks.
Random, just around the corner from you.
Staff picks is an opportunity for Tom and I to make recommendations, usually of newer stuff, movies, films. Nice work.
Movies
Movies,
and
TV
films,
shows, yeah, movies and films,
television, TV,
television, TV stuff, albums,
records,
LPs, EPs, songs, tunes,
magazines, periodicals.
books, novels, novelettes, novellas, novelettes.
Novels. It sounds like candy you buy at a movie theater.
You get the idea. New stuff or new stuff to us. So, Tom, what's your recommendation or what's your staff pick for this week?
My staff pick is a new thing for me. My daughter, my lovely daughter Anna, texted me about 2 weeks ago and recommended a TV series that's running on Netflix right now. It ran from 2018 to 2022. I had never seen it. It had never come up on the algorithm or anything like that, which is a little interesting to me because as Anna says, kind of right in my wheelhouse. The show is called Dairy Girls, and it's set in Northern Ireland in the early 90s. The very first season of the show mentions that it's 1992, which was the year I graduated from law school. And it's set basically during the end of the Troubles, all of the violence and all of the problems, between the Protestants and the Catholics in Northern Ireland. This is, however, a half-hour comedy. It's a sitcom basically, and it follows this family and its extended family, and these girls. I think there's four girls and a boy, oddly, that go to a Catholic girls' school in Londonderry, in Northern Ireland, and it is a little odd at times. It is very, very funny. There is a character, the headmistress of the school is a nun named Sister Michael, and she is my idol now. She is so funny. There's so many funny offhand comments she makes, and she's just outstanding. But the kids are really good too, and there's nobody in the show that you recognize other than the fact that towards the end of season three, you get a cameo from Liam Neeson in a couple episodes.
Hmm.
But otherwise, it's nobody you know. And truthfully, can be very hard to understand. It's the only TV show I've ever watched where I turn on the subtitles because it's so hard to understand them with their accents. But with the subtitles, I laughed at least part of every single episode. I don't really know how I missed it because Anna's correct. It's exactly the kind of thing I like. It's about, the kind of coming of age. And it starts out being very kind of silly in my mind. And as you go through 3 seasons of the show, it ends up with a very poignant, very emotional, and kind of hard hitting finale, but still remains funny throughout. And the characters are really good. The interrelationships between everybody's very good. I recommend it highly. It isn't brand new by any means, but it is certainly new to me, and I definitely deserves a recommendation. And Anna deserves a thank you for recommending it to me.
I had a song, which is what I usually do. I moved it to next week's episode because I wanted to highlight a book. Excited. It is the book that will become the next book that I read, which
Uh,
pushes Project Hail Mary out a book. But Willie Vlotton has a new novel out entitled The Left and the Lucky. I've read all of his stuff, listened to all his various musical iterations, from Richmond Fontaine, to the current band that I'm blanking on, but I'll get there. Um, this should just be the episode where we say it's where Chris forgets every single name.
I feel like this should have been the our 60th birthday episode.
Yeah. But I do want to read a little blurb that I assume is on the back of the real book. It's from Joe Hill, who's a respected writer himself. But I think this sums up what Willie Vaughton does so well. It says, no one anywhere writes with such power and such stark beauty about American desperation and want, American loneliness and heartache. We need Willie Vaughton. He's essential, and every book he writes proves it all over again. So that's from Joe Hill, and I'm looking forward to it. It's like if you describe the plot of the book, it never sounds like it's anything exciting. It's all about relationships and how people deal oftentimes with this, heartache and desperation. And the settings tend to make you feel, I mean, stark's a fantastic word for the settings of Willie Vaughton's books. They just feel dark and sort of hopeless. But somehow all of his books still end up, leaving you with some sense of hope and certainly attachment to the characters. He does an amazing job, I think, of developing characters. So I definitely recommend others check it out, and I'll have a post facto in a couple weeks on what I thought about the book.
Yeah, I read The Horse at your recommendation. In fact, I think I did a post facto a few weeks back.
Yeah.
It's the only of his novels I've read so far. I have two of them saved on my iPad right now and plan to get to them soon. And now I have three. And you're right. I mean, my only experience with his writing is so far is the novel The Horse, and I thought it was awesome. I know it was one of the best books I've read in the last year or two. So that's a very good pick. So every week, Chris and I each pick a song for our season-long playlist. We are in season 12, and we each have a pick for the playlist this week. What's yours?
Well, I am kind of excited about my pick. I went with a White Zombie song from their 1995 album. Actually, I want to read the album title to you because the title itself is one of my favorite things. It's called Astro Creep 2000, Songs of Love, Destruction, and Other Synthetic Delusions of the Electric Head.
That's a title. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a subtitle for one of the for Blade Runner, which is
Yeah.
the song I picked is a direct reference to Blade Runner. It's called More Human Than Human, which was the motto of the Tyrell Corporation in Blade Runner. So they're the ones that created the androids. They're the founder was the one who Rutger Hauer destroys by crushing his head in his hands. But I've not listened a ton to White Zombie. I am starting to after preparing for this episode, but that song is catchy and I'm looking forward to people listening to it on the playlist. And I think that you'll probably not like it. So it's got all kinds of bonuses.
Yeah, I've not been a big White Zombie fan in the past, and I can't say I've heard that song, so I'll report back.
So what's your pick for the week, Tom? Your playlist pick?
I picked a song from one of the films that was on my long list for Shawshank movies, and that is the movie I talked about, Baby Driver. Absolutely love that movie. It is a movie that is just intertwined with music all the way through, and one of the songs that has a specific meaning within the soundtrack itself is the song "Deborah" by Beck from his album Midnight Vultures, which came out in 1999. It's also on the soundtrack for Baby Driver. Great Beck song. I don't think we've ever put a Beck song on one of our playlists. I'm a fan, and I'm a little surprised that this is the first time I got around to it. But the female lead in the film is a waitress whose name is Deborah. And if you watch the movie, the thing about Baby, the lead character, is that he's always got a Walkman and he's always got headphones in. And he's always listening to music, and so you get to hear him. You get a scene where he's basically listening to that song. It's awesome. So that's my pick for the playlist for this week. You can find our third song in season 12 playlist everywhere you stream your music, which includes Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, all those places have it. Please share our music playlists and let people know they're out there.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode as we continue into through season 12. Third Song In is recorded in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and Joliet, Illinois.
Please email us your questions, your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, and your favorite Shawshank films to thirdsongin@gmail.com.
We'd also ask you to check out our website, thirdsonginpodcast.com. In addition to episode spotlight, which I'm looking forward to which one Tom is going to put up from, I think, the show tag, we have direct links to our blogs, to the episodes, to all the various lists that we put together. We also have an as mentioned page where you can get information about the various guests we've had, and we've had some really great guests on the show.
All right, I'm going to take a short break here. I'm going to kind of break out of character.
Do you need to walk out of the room?
No, I've got my own acting method. So I'm just going to talk to you, as a host of a podcast. Give us all your fucking stars, will you? Please rate the podcast wherever you listen to it. Give us your stars, share the podcast, tell people about it. Word of mouth is huge for us. We would love to keep going and we'd love to reach more people. So please follow, rate, and review us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube, Pandora, Overcast, wherever you listen to it. We really appreciate it. All right, I'm back in character now.
Serious acting, I know. That was.
Thank you.
We'd also ask you to share our playlists. Tom and I just added 2 new songs to the season 12 playlist. We put one out for each season, and we also put out special playlists most of the time when we have guests on. For any of those, all the same streaming services, if you search for Third Song In, you can find the playlist, and we'd ask you to share our goddamn playlists because they're good. Damn it.
They are good. Follow us on social media. We have a Facebook page, Instagram, Blue Sky. We post stuff about the podcast, but we also try to keep you up to date about all the things that our former and future guests are up to. So look for us under Third Song In on all your social media.
You can also subscribe to our blogs. Tom and I take turns publishing a blog each week. As I said, those are on the website. But if you'd like to have them show up in your inbox on Friday morning, you can subscribe to our Substack account, Third Song In on Substack. It's a lot of great material on Substack in general, and I've been checking out a lot of it. It's a good way to connect with some really good creators. Joe Pernice is on there. He's put out a new album. That's where I heard about it. So a good place to get information as well as our blog.
And don't forget to tune in next week. We have a return visit from author and immigration attorney Bami Adebayo.
Looking forward to that. And you've been listening to Third Song In with Chris Derrickson and Tom Polachek. Thanks for listening.
Hey, by the way, your microphone, your sound seems off. I don't ever remember having to say that to you. You sound kind of like I usually sound. Handsome.
Yeah, nice try.
It was worth a shot. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that was a shitty fucking episode. I feel like I was awful. So
she's been Shawshanked.